So back to what I was saying.
What's up? What's up, friends, family, and fans? You know what? We're gonna keep that one because I'm gonna keep this as raw and real as it is. Oh, I am so tired right now. It's not even funny.
It'd be like that sometimes.
No sleep last night. Yeah, we're gonna finish it. What's up? What's up, friends, family, and fans? It's me, Stone Stafford, and I'm here with Johnny Vaughn.
Hi.
And we're gonna talk today. So it's gonna be that kind of a podcast.
I can't wait.
Johnny, real fast, everything all right with you? I know you're going through a lot.
No, right everything is not all right. I am not okay. But hey, we press on, right?
You said what? I'm sorry, I coughed right over you.
Wow.
Man, y'all pray for us right now.
It's okay.
Matter of fact, let's just pause. Let's just bow our heads for a moment of silence so that Johnny and Stone can make it through this episode. All right, let's try this again. So you say you're not all right. I know, I get it. And you're kind of pressed for time too. So
yeah, well, you know, things. Yeah, I've been up against a weird clock for like the last 10 days, man. It's, you know, just business stuff. You know, when you have multiple things going on at the same time, and one of them is literally falling apart because of someone else's actions, and it's just, you know, you start hemorrhaging money, you're hemorrhaging time, and it's been crazy. But these are the reasons why we're able to do these kinds of conversations, because people get to see what it is. And one day we will do a podcast on what's going on right now, how to avoid it.
That would be good.
Yeah,
That'd be
we're definitely
practical.
going to do it. I mean, it's still a lot going on. We've kind of mentioned some of the details in the past, but I will bear all one day so that, you know, you can see kind of what some of those coming roadblocks can be, and you can dodge them, because when you hit them head on like I have, you've seen those videos on YouTube of the kids running track and they try to jump over the first hurdle and they trip, and then the next one they hit it and they just start running through. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just running through hurdles at this point. Yeah.
I'm sorry, bro.
How about you, broski? What's going on? Because I'm not even in Atlanta right now. So what's going on in Atlanta?
Don't know.
Okay.
Ask me in a minute. Yeah, we're doing this one in the morning right now. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, which doesn't sound early because it's not really that early. But I've been up for 5 hours already. But right. But he's been up, and I actually just went to bed 2.5 hours ago.
Yeah.
And then had to get back up. So brain's not there. But Atlanta's doing its thing. Nothing much. Just reading all this internet stuff about all these artists trying to get out of their deals and crap, man.
Yeah.
That's that. Every time I read that, but honestly, the two things I've been talking about a lot are, you know, those things, and then, you know, of course, Breonna Taylor,
right,
and all of that. But yeah, these deals are. So this is what got me, and this is why I'm kind of just like, yo, really, especially with Kanye. Kanye is obviously leading the charge right now, like currently. Before it was other people, but the thing is, you sign these deals.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can blame the labels if you want to, and the publishers for bad deals,
right?
And quite frankly, you'll have a ground to stand on because some of these deals are bad, especially when you go through some of these independent labels. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, some of these deals are bad, but by the nature of the beast, the deals aren't made for you.
Right.
To be honest, at the end of the day, the deal's not made.
You are I hate to say this, you are a tool.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. And it's pretty much tools signing a tool.
Right.
So, yeah, but they're not made in your favor. So you know that, you should know that going
into it. Yeah.
Now here's the problem is a lot of these people, when they sign these deals, they're young. But honestly, especially nowadays, there's still no excuse, you know, because as long as you've had access to the internet, when you did a deal that you call is like a robbing you or a slave deal, we'll call them that. We'll call them slave deals. That seems to be the coin term people are using. As long as you've had access to the internet, There's really
You
no
walking
excuse
around
for
with a
you.
law degree in your pocket, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for you signing a slave deal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's why you have attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I had an artist one time who we were in the middle of signing, and her attorney called me and started bringing up all these points. And of course, I mean, not even 10 seconds in the call. And the first point that he brought up, he had a point where, because my deal was 2 years initial term, followed by,
This is publishing, right?
Actually, this is management.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It was a 2-year initial term, followed by 3 1-year options. Now, somebody might be like, man, why would you sign somebody for 2? Now, he was talking about something. He just wanted 1 year. And then basically, like, let's see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he said 1 year and then like 2 1-year options after that, mutual options. And so I told him, well, first, you have no idea what it takes to break an artist from ground zero. Now, this was an artist who had done absolutely zero in music.
Okay.
Didn't have anything except for a couple of songs that she and her brother did out of her bedroom. You know what I mean? But other than that, she did zero in music. That was the whole reason why she was signing with me. So, but anyway, long story short, in the first 10 seconds of the call, the fact that he had an issue with that, I said, okay, he has zero idea on what's kind of not traditional, if you will, in music. So come to find out later, the guy's a real estate attorney.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, and sometimes that happens with these cats signing these deals. They get the cousin, they get Pookie in them, they get Golden Child in them. As an inside joke, y'all. Johnny's email address is Golden Child Entertainment.
No. So
no. What is it?
So
break it down.
Golden Child NEM was my first production company.
Golden Child NEM.
The NEM stood for New Entertainment Media.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
The Golden Child New Entertainment.
But that's the thing, you could never fit that on a check.
When no one feel like typing all that.
Exactly. So we abbreviate it. But the thing is, like, so everybody sees it say, so Golden Child NEM. Who's the NEM?
Right. And that's exactly what I thought it was. I was like, Golden Child NEM.
Yeah,
I was like, if this ain't a black email address, I don't know what is.
I was 16, and the only reason I kept it is just kind of a legacy thing. It's the first thing that I built, and that's the only reason it's kind of still around. And I think Stone had... it's only like 4 people I use that email address with, and you just happen to be one of them. Like, it's pretty much a dormant address.
Grandfathered in.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's a big thing, man. It's people hear attorney and then they assume that it's a blanket thing, that they can deal with law on every level of every topic. And people have specializations, and just because you have someone who handles, like you said, real estate doesn't mean they're a contract attorney.
Right.
That's a completely separate skill set. But it goes to what you said with like being young isn't an excuse. I'm always on the fence about that argument, because people always say ignorance is bliss, but ignorance is also not necessarily an excuse. But if you don't know what you don't know,
right? What do they call that? Unconscious incompetence.
Exactly. And then sometimes, I mean, it's now the onus still falls on you at the end of the day, because you have to go through the discovery process to try to figure out what you don't know. But when we're talking about these deals that are still happening to this day, you can go back as far as the Jackson 5, all the way before that to Little Richard. There have been terrible deals that have been signed throughout history. So you have examples all the way up until right now. Good music, like you said, is the most current. But I think the boy band era, that 90s thing with Backstreet and NSYNC, yeah, TLC, In Vogue was in that era, I believe, too. Like, those deals are completely public now, where TLC was making like $30,000 a year after going multi-platinum. You had NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. Lou Pearlman was like a 6th member of the band who was getting paid more than each member of the band. I think it happened to O-Town too. It happened with In Vogue. Lil' Kim had a situation where she said that she was conned by some of her attorneys into signing over 50% ownership of all of her stuff. Like, you have examples. And if you just use those examples as your starting point to research how did these celebrities get into these deals themselves, use that as the backdrop to begin researching what yours is. Because just because someone puts a contract in front of you and says, hey, we got 24 hours to get this signed, the second somebody puts a time limit on how long you have to sign something,
Right.
your ears should go up. I mean, there's something
Right.
that they're trying to get you to skirt over, and you need to make sure you do your due diligence. So I feel like that ignorance isn't necessarily an excuse, but I think it becomes a gray area to an extent because you have to discover what you don't know. I
Well,
mean,
here's my thing with that, and I'm only reason why I'm going to challenge that. Now we switch roles today. You're the one. You're the Mr. Benefit of the Doubt guy that right now.
yeah, I'm not so
I'm
cut and
not.
dry today.
I'm not because I will. Here's the thing. The reason why I'm not going to give them the unconscious incompetence excuse is because they actually know, and because of all the stories they've heard about a lot of times, they actually know that they should have somebody help them. Now, they might not know the difference between an entertainment attorney and a real estate or a divorce, or they might know that they just know that they need an attorney.
Right.
But then this is what happens. There are two things that happen. And a lot of times the labels and publishers, whatever, there have been plenty of times when they preyed on this, where they were predators.
Mm-hmm.
But there are two things that happen when you get this young creative. One, they were like, I know I need to get an attorney to look at this. I ain't got no money for an attorney, though. Step one. Two, oh my God, this is my dream. If I don't say yes now, if I don't do this, I might not get another chance. No one else has offered me anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I need this money.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things happen. Once those two things come in, they shut down all common sense.
Yeah. Okay.
They shut it all down. So that's why I'm not, because I can tell you I'm willing to put it out there that the majority of people that signed a deal, even when they were young, knew that, okay, I probably should get an attorney. Matter of fact, if you take that same cat and you brought 3 deals to their table,
mm-hmm.
they're not going to sit there and try to decide eeny, meeny, miny, mo on their own, this and that. They're going to find some help because they know they need some help.
Right.
But it's usually that fact that, oh my God, I'm not going to get this opportunity again.
So sometimes the lack of options on opportunity can force somebody to
and then just the excitement that this is what I've been wanting. You know, this is what I felt like I've been wanting at least.
Yeah.
And that gets all excited, and now all of a sudden you sign something bad. So
I mean, that's a real thing though, because I've been in that situation too. The first production team that I was a part of, you know, we were offered. I'm having a conversation about the staff producer deal that we were offered, where we turned in so many beats, and I was just like, yo, this don't feel right, bro. And I went through that whole scenario too. It's like, yo, if we don't do this, like, am I gonna get another shot? And we never got, because I wasn't gonna do that. I was like, man, I believe in the stuff that we're doing, and if all we're gonna get is $75K a year, and 2 of these things go big over the next 5 years, we don't see anything else from that. So I walked away from it, and I never saw another opportunity like that per se again. So that is a real fear for people, and I'm living proof that can happen.
Now,
but you can't allow
ignorant?
that to make you make a terrible decision of not doing your due diligence in the beginning.
That's what I was going to say. So can we call it this, or are we just going to call it what it is? You made a bad decision.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I'm Uncle Stone today, y'all. I'm Uncle Stone today.
I'm down with that. How can you be you haven't woken up enough to be anybody else yet?
Oh man, I'm trying. But
so I'll say this too though. In doing that, because in a lot of these major situations, there are a lot of people around those deals. Bad Boy's a prime example. Not to knock Diddy or that situation, but everybody, it's kind of public knowledge that there's been a bunch of bad deals through Bad Boy. And have you ever heard of Rule 303?
Rule
303?
No, I have not.
I'm gonna reference that right now. I'll tell everybody, go Google Breaker Morant, Rule 303. Read about that. It was a military court martial thing. But what it in essence, what it comes down to meaning, Rule 303 means if you have the means, then you have a responsibility to act. And it's kind of where the basis of some of that, with great power comes great responsibility thing. In a lot of these scenarios, there are lawyers around these new artists that know these deals are terrible.
Sure.
And I honestly tend to put some of the blame of some of this on those, whether it's the manager, the lawyers, even the president of these labels. You have the means. You know that this is a terrible idea and it's going to screw this person over. And in that situation, based off of Rule 303, you have a responsibility to act, whether it be to guide them to say, hey, yo, you should get an outside lawyer to look at this, or hey, let's look at this together, instead of forcing them into that situation. So I think it's some shared responsibility and fault, as opposed to just being cut and dry, black and white, that it's the artist's fault for not doing their homework. Because
that would be called taking accountability and doing the right thing.
Yeah.
What country do you live in?
Well, I mean, I hope for a better world. Are you not
from the year 2020?
I do. I still.
Right now, ain't nobody doing that.
Despite all the evidence to the contrary, I do believe.
But it still makes your point true. I mean, I believe that. I agree. You know what I mean? But again, like 99.9% of the issues and stuff we run into in life, money's going to be the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Money's going to be the thing. So if you're listening to this now, look, I know sometimes we're always like, hey, if you love us, tell a friend, share this, hit that like button, comment, blah, 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 blah. And we appreciate all that. But if there is going to be one episode that you share, this needs to be the one. If you know of anyone trying to get a deal or someone who's about to do a deal. And we have other episodes where we went over what a publishing deal is and stuff. And we'll probably do one where we're going to do one where we'll break down recording deals. But you got to understand that all money ain't good, at the end of the day. So, and sometimes you're better off broke. And even when I was at Sony, one, I never signed anyone who didn't understand what they were signing.
Okay.
Even when I had an artist and I was managing her, she couldn't really afford the attorney. And so, and I'm not out there to rob nobody or take nothing from people, nothing like that. So we spent hours and went over the agreement, the management agreement, line upon line. And each time we did a line, I explained the line out, then I would be like, do you have any questions? And, something came up one time where she was like, well, why are you getting that? And I'm only getting this. And it was a great example where after, the overhead or people were paid and stuff like that, my percentage ended up being more than what she got. And just optics alone, that just doesn't look good. And it was a lesson for me because I was doing everything by the books. And any other attorney that looked into my agreement, it was not a bad agreement at all. It was about as fair as you're going to get for a management agreement. You know what I mean? But anyway, so we bumped heads on that. And quite frankly, I think a lot of stuff changed in our relationship where that's concerned, because now this guy who you thought always had your interests at heart, would never do you wrong, this and that, it looks like he's kind of like everybody else now, because now all of a sudden he's getting more than you. So I got another attorney involved again to kind of consult us. And whereas the attorney, again, thought my agreement was actually a very good agreement, she was like, but then you have to go outside the letter of the contract.
Right. And
you have to think relationship. You got to think, this is your artist. She goes, it never looks good when the manager makes more than the artist.
Right.
That just doesn't look good. Even if it's legit. So it was a lesson that I learned for sure. And so we straightened it out. And but anyway, things went downhill after that. But the bottom line is, I was upset when we argued because I was like, I explained. She goes, I didn't know about this. I was like, yes, you did. We sat for 4 hours going over this agreement and I explained everything. And after everything, I was like, do you have any questions? And you were like, no. And if you did, then you asked. But it went back to what you were saying. How do you know what to ask?
If you don't know.
If you don't know.
Right.
And so even though what she may have understood what I explained, she didn't understand how that applies in a real life scenario.
Exactly.
And so when I look back on it, obviously hindsight being 2020.
Yeah.
And got
book
out of
knowledge is great, but without experience, it's useless.
Dude, say it again, please.
Yeah, book knowledge is great, but if you don't have the experience to accompany it so that you have that, it's useless, man.
It's almost useless. Yeah. That was a mouthful right there. And that's our podcast for today. Y'all just live on that right there. Yeah. And you're good. So that was a great learning lesson for me. But, as far as calling them slave deals, look, at the end of the day, if I have a business, my number one interest and priority is my business.
Right.
You know, now we're not talking about whether or not that makes me a good or bad person.
Mm-hmm.
We're just talking about business.
Yeah.
Does that make me a good owner of a business?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's what we run into. We're running into it right now, even with our country.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's like, all right, is it good for business or is it good for people?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, there's always a scenario where it's good for both. And that's the scenario you should always hunt down and find.
Yeah.
So when they're saying that I'm a slave deal and this and that, again, these deals aren't for you, but it is your job to then go back and try to make them for you. Now, Johnny, let's just talk a little bit on some of the things that you can do to have the power to negotiate these deals and put them in your favor. I'll start off with one is have something that everyone has to have.
Yeah.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
Have a product, and that's something as an artist, that product is you. And then if you're a writer, the product is a writer or producer, the product is your song.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're an actor, obviously it's you, your talent, whatever it may be in entertainment that you do. If you're an athlete, obviously it's your talent. But have a product that everyone has to have. Now, what's the key word in that statement, Johnny, that I just said that people need to pay attention to?
I don't know. I'm still sleepy too.
Okay, I got you.
Was it have?
Yeah, there you go. And I knew you knew it. I was going to give you a second. Get the cobwebs out for a second. Has. That's right. Yeah. A product that everyone has to have.
Yep.
Not just what everyone wants or whatever. No, where they feel they can't do without it.
A requirement. Absolutely.
Right. So have a demand. When there is the demand for you, the ball is more in your court to start calling some shots. Absolutely. Now you can go in and say, you know what? I don't want three options. You know, I want 2 options. You know, and just real fast, because I don't like saying anything and people not know what I'm talking about. An option is basically where you have an initial term. Let's say we do a deal, it's for a year, and then there's 1-year options. That means typically and traditionally, if I'm the person signing you, then once that first year is up, then I have the option to sign you for another year. And if I have 3 options, then that means I can exercise that option 3 times. And that's how it goes. The person who's paying for everything and signing you is usually their options. But again, if you are in demand, if I have to have you, then you can change and say, you know what? I want those options instead of being exclusive to you. I want those to be mutual options. So that means once that first initial term is up and that option comes up, you and I both have to agree that we'll move forward in another. You see how that can help you out a lot more? So that way, if you're not happy and you don't like me, say when things are going great, but you just can't stand working with me, then you have the option to be like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. And even though I want to, because the option has to be mutual, there's really not a whole lot we can do. And vice versa.
Exactly.
And vice versa. Yeah. If I don't want to exercise the next option, you're like, oh, man, things are going great. You can be a butthole. It's all good, but we ain't get a ton of money. I ain't going nowhere. There's not a whole lot I can do.
Exactly.
I mean, there's some shady things we can do. You know,
we'll get to
we're not teaching that on Life on Podcast.
Yeah, no. Above board here. I want to go one step forward than just the having something that everyone has to have. Because in my world, actually, this isn't just my world in radio. It's across the board. You need to own that thing that you have. Not so much just licensing it from somewhere else, or have created it and you have it, but you haven't copyrighted it, or you don't have a trademark on it. Or I made that mistake in my first radio contract, and I mean, again, it was me being young, didn't know, but CBS, now Intercom, owns everything I created for the first 4 years of my radio career, because I didn't know to put that underneath my brand and then allow CBS to use it. I created it under the CBS umbrella, and now every feature that I did, every bit that I did, it's theirs. Now, luckily, I worked for CBS for the first 10 years of my radio career, so wherever I went, I was able to still use my stuff. Now that I'm no longer with what is now Intercom, not that I would want to use some of that old stuff, but if I were to, it would probably be problematic because that content belongs to them, because I I don't own it. I created it almost as a work for hire for CBS, and then I was allowed to use it because I was an employee, so to speak.
So they own all of Young Django's work then. I mean, all of Young Johnny's work then. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. But an example that I use from the media world, like Charlemagne the God, he owns Donkey of the Day. That's his. If he ever goes somewhere other than iHeartMedia, he'll be able to take that with him. He probably won't, but he'll be able to. And it seems really, really small, but that's his feature on the Breakfast Club. So that's the thing. Whatever you create, if you can go into these publishing deals or these recording contract negotiations or any kind of media contract, and you own your content, you own that brand, you have those trademarks, that gives you 100% more negotiating power than probably 90% of the people who are in these beginner situations. Because people don't think to literally just get the paperwork done on their creations. So now, owning your intellectual property is the biggest first step in my eyes.
So in music, and this is another quiz I'm throwing at you, Johnny. I know you sleep, but I never asked you anything that I know you don't know. And so in music, what are the names of those two pieces of intellectual property? And I'll break it down for you. One, if you're a writer or producer, that intellectual property is called what? And then if you're a recording artist, that intellectual property is called what?
I don't know.
Okay. You do know. You're going to be like, oh yeah.
I don't know.
So and sometimes it may be the way I'm phrasing the question. So when Johnny's talking about owning your stuff, right? As a writer or a producer, the thing that you own is called.
I don't know.
You said the word yourself.
It's the copyright, dude.
Thank you. And then as a recording artist,
it becomes
if you were to own all your stuff,
the
thing that you own is called your.
It's your masters.
Your masters.
Yeah, I said it before you did the.
Yeah, you got to egg Johnny along sometimes. It's early for both of us. So anyway, but those are the things, so when you listen to what Johnny was saying, which is absolutely 100% right, you're like, well, what is it that I have to own, whatever? Well, if you're a writer or producer, it's called your copyright. Yep. And if you are a recording artist, it's called your master. Your master is that actual thing that you record. All right. So, if I record a song one way and I record that same song another way, I have two masters. All right. So the master is that one version of the way you recorded something, that one song. And there are, and just to show that what we're talking about, there's a thing that's going on where people are finally getting hip or getting woke to it. Like United Masters is a company, Steve Stout's company, where their big thing is where you own your masters. Empire with Ghazi, they have a thing, the way they're set up where you own a piece of the majority of your masters. So the game's getting hit to it because, like I said, now people are, because of the internet and they're learning, and because actually, to give them some credit, when you have people like, Kanye and I think Mace went public with some stuff for a minute before, but when you have these people, even TLC, when you have these people going public with how bad or quote unquote, how bad their deals were, or how bad of a decision that they made, right? It makes us that much smarter. So we can sit there and be like, oh, Kanye whining, this and that, da-da-da. Well, he's actually helping people because he's ringing the alarm and saying, look, beware, 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 be wise, be wise, be wise. So there is a benefit to that. Yeah. But it's your fault if they're doing all this bell ringing and you go out there and you sign something horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're not allowed to put up a post talking about something slave deal. They're just trying to keep me down. Well, no, you just made a bad choice.
Yeah.
And that comes with consequences and decision.
Yeah. Look at New It. Nah, I'm going to do that. Yeah, but no.
But it is a shame. It is a shame, especially those who did have good representation. Yeah. And the reputation let them down. I truly call them victims at that point because they did their job. They had someone who knew what they didn't know, who was supposed to protect them, and they didn't do that.
Yeah.
So if anything, the slave master isn't even the label or publishing company at that point. It's just the jerk that represented you and didn't represent you the right way.
Yeah, I mean I think it's what's always important to have a checks and balances kind of system. I mean, it's it gets expensive to do this, but I mean, just having one attorney can be a bad thing because you don't know if that attorney's taking some side payments from somewhere else to make sure you sign something crazy. Having a second attorney is always good to look over that stuff that they looked over to make sure that there's nothing sneaky being snuck in there.
And the reason why that's good too, because sometimes you do have a situation where your attorney has a relationship with the label.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so sometimes your interest isn't at heart. So look, they call it a dirty game for a reason. But I don't particularly think it's unique to entertainment. It just, everything in entertainment is set up where the dirt just gets played with all the time. So look, you have what you need. Listen, I want you guys to, this is what I'm going to do. So if you listen to this podcast, we gave away lunch to one of our listeners.
Yeah.
I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. So shout out to Winston Johnson who won lunch on us. I'm not going to post it. Just proof that you listen to this podcast. There are ways that you can get trapped in a pub deal if you don't pay attention to the terms. Okay? There is something in a publishing deal that is responsible for the music that you turn in and the music that you put out. And there is a term. And I'm going to give you a hint.
You want to come? Well, we're not going to tell them. We're going to just let them.
No, I'm not going to tell them. I'm going to give you a hint. The term starts with the letter M. M as in Mary. The term starts with the letter M. M as in Mary. If you go back to that podcast, did we do one or two on publishing?
Publishing was a two-parter.
It was a two-parter.
Yeah, that was a two-parter.
So you have to listen to two. But if you go back and you listen to those podcasts, and you can email us, you can either go to lifeonpodcast.com, click on contact us and shoot us an email, or you can just email us at lifeonpodcast@gmail.com. Email us the name of that term. And I'm going to say it one more time. Of course, you can always hit rewind, but I'm going to say it anyway. That term is responsible. That term is the term that is used that speaks to the songs that you turn in and the songs that you release. What is the name of that term in publishing deals? And again, that term starts with the letter M as in Mary. If you do that, lunch will be on us. Let's go ahead and email it. We'll contact you back. We will ask you for your Cash App, and lunch will be on us. All right? So we're going to see if anyone actually takes us up on that offer.
Right on.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to do this. Since you probably have to go through 2 episodes to find the answer because you don't know which episode it's in, the publishing episodes, I'm going to do lunch for 2.
Okay.
I'm upping the ante.
All right.
I'm doing lunch for 2.
Okay.
Now, granted, it's not lunch at, Park Tavern in New York. It's not lunch at Roots, at freaking Bones or Marcel's.
We got that Chick-fil-A for you. That's what you.
But you know what? It's Chick-fil-A if Chick-fil-A used real silver utensils. So you can go somewhere pretty decent and get a lunch. You can go beyond a burger. You can actually get real cooked food. So the money will be enough to do that. All right. So it's not like $10. So that's it, man. So if you need to hear all that again, just hit rewind. I'm not repeating it all again. But that's it. That's all we got for y'all today, man. Thanks for hanging in with us. This one was a struggle this morning, but we had to make it happen. We had to make it do what it do. That's the price of success.
Yeah.
So when we get that $34 million deal with Amazon, we're going to look back on these days when we were sleepy and y'all were still there with us.
Website, lifeonpodcast.com. Send us your messages right there. Are we having them send us the message? We said lifeonpodcast@gmail.com. That's what the answer comes from. They're going to just message us on IG or something like that. How we doing it?
Okay. Well, it looks like I'm going to repeat some of it anyway because my co-host didn't even listen.
No. It's important. It's important to say it twice so that everyone knows what we're saying.
You can just go to lifeonpodcast.com.
There you go.
Contact us and shoot us your answer.
Okay.
Or if you want, you can just go to lifeonpodcast@gmail. All right. But either way, I want to get the email. How about that? Either way, I want to get the email. There you go. There you go. That's it for us, man. Y'all go out there, be good. If you have any interest whatsoever, if you want to hear us, personally, one-on-one, or our personal lives, whatever, you can follow me on Instagram at Stone O 7. That's Stone 007 on Instagram, and then it's Stone 007 on Twitter.
Just Johnny Vaughn, JUSTJONYVAN. Wherever you go, search me.
All right, y'all go out there. Y'all be good. Be the best that you can be. Don't reach for your goals. Reach for your potential. We're out of here. Love y'all.
So back to what I was saying. What I was saying.